and I've become quite the fan of your guys' work, just kind of viewing it from the sidelines. And man, we got a doozy of a matchup here tonight, don't we?
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. It's Storm Surge, again, who we have been following throughout the entirety of the main division thus far, taking on the WC Shotgunners. The WC in this case standing for White Claw, but I think we'll just refer to them as the Shotgunners this time. Their roster consisting of Hangman, Blur, Tech, Seizure, and Mikey. These guys coming in 2-1. You know, it's still very early in the ESEA season, at least the main division, but having a 2-1 record going around for definitely nothing to sneeze at.
No, absolutely not. But looking at Storm Surge as well, we're looking at 1 and 2, two early losses, right? So obviously that kind of hurts. You were saying that you were in an interview on, believe it was the Tuesday, and again, takeaways from that really being that there just needs to be a little bit of a reset to kind of summarize and just some refocusing on just simple mistakes that Storm Surge know they can right the wrongs.
Yeah, that's, I think, a really good way to say it, that Storm Surge roster being
Without
made
giving
up.
away too much.
Well, of course, obviously, we don't want to spoil anything, but that Storm Surge roster being made up of Desolation, Doyle, Punisher, Cubed, and Kanzi. I mean, if you've been a frequent flyer of True North Studios, you sort of know what to expect, but for those new viewers, we can sort of break down the team roles. Desolation being your in-game leader, your IGL, your main opper. Doyle sort of serving as a main lurker, an anchor you might see anchoring a site, whether that be A or B, depending on the map and the call. Punisher, another lurker as well, usually tries to take space and be sort of that mid-presence guy. Cubed, another flex player, an anchor as well, and Kanzi, your star rifler and the secondary op when required. And on paper, this team definitely has the talent to get things done, and I don't think that the 1-2 record is really indicative of their skill level. I think it's just been some tough losses so far. You know, you look back to Tuesday, if you were watching the stream, 5-1 lead at one point and then lose 13-6. I mean, there's a lot you can unpack with that one, Smoke. I mean, what do we chalk it up to? Is it mental errors? Is it just not executing? What is the cause of this?
Well, I think the number one thing is communication, as it is definitely key. And also, when you start kind of snowballing in rounds, no matter what the tactical shooter is, it just sort of seems like this is the number one hardest thing to kind of get your boots strapped back in on, right? Momentum is everything, and not just obviously in server, but on the mines as well. Like I said, right? These guys, they've been here before so many times, very experienced players, but at the same time, you got to remember who they're playing against. These are teams where if you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile off of you. So, again, I think that the interview summed it up perfectly. It's just small things that, if kept in check, can avoid snowballs like what we saw on Tuesday. And that just goes for not only just CS, but just sports in general. This is just things that players they need to stay on top of in order to win. And again, Storm Surge, to me, more than capable of being able to do so.
No, for sure. And we actually have some highlights of that game from Tuesday. We can get in a little bit more in depth about the performance that Storm Surge had. And again, a lot of these positive clips are coming from the early part of this game. It was Cubed and Doyle who were really leading the way, Doyle especially. And if you haven't already, you definitely have to check out the True North socials, because we whipped up an absolutely insane Doyle edit that you do not want to miss. And
Shout out Adrian.
Shout out Adrian for getting that done relatively quickly. But besides these first couple rounds where Storm Surge was just kind of dominating, and we can see that these executes of these post plants really, really clean, really crisp. Doyle, again, getting it done, using the Molly, using the AK, everything in his toolkit to get it done. But once we sort of get to these later halves and once Storm Surge got onto the CT side, it was just absolutely flipped the opposite way in terms of no fish in the microwave.
Yeah, and especially when you look at if you go back to the later rounds, the inability of Storm Surge to trade in those later rounds as opposed to no fish. They were so well done, at least in terms of coordination, layered aggression from no fish, as well as you can definitely see really knew how to overrun Storm Surge. took some great banana controls as well. And I mean, it doesn't take a genius to know this, but on Inferno, who knew banana is kind of everything? So again, when you have that control, it just influences so much, so many of your pushes towards that B side. And again, it's just child's play at the end of the day for no fish. You give them that space, they're gonna take it. They're gonna make you pay. So yeah, simple as.
Yeah, and another thing you want to point out too is guys like Acne and Arya, who are able to just do so much damage holding Banana. I believe it was Arya pulling out the Mag 7 of all things and just hanging out in top Banana, just absolutely destroying these advancing Storm Surge players. And this was a strategy that No Fish was sort of spamming a lot, and they just weren't able to, Storm Surge, I should say, they just weren't able to fight this or really find an answer for these plays. And if the shotgunners have really done their research tonight, they would have watched that VOD from the other day and they would have seen that, maybe these executes through Banana are not as strong for Storm Surge. And that is really the weakness that we should be exploiting if we end up going back to Inferno. We'll get into maps a little bit later, but I do think there definitely is a possibility we see Inferno for a second time this week.
Right. I mean, again, I'm not trying to call it too early. We've heard some speculation that Inferno, maybe a little bit of Nuke, might be in play. But let's say we did get that pick of Inferno, right? You're talking about how the banana pushes might not be looking up to task, right? We know that Storm Surge. This is something that you, especially if you're an Inferno liking team, you need to have down pat. So to me, it's going to be really, really interesting to see on the side of White Claw Shotgunners if they are having to look at a ton of banana presence. If Storm Surge want to try to fix that mid game, we really want to look at maybe Blur, who could be potentially someone who they really are going to have to try to get through if they want to see any success on that front. But that being said, let's look at a counter strat and let's try to see what our maps looking like.
Yeah, you mentioned it. We're going to shout out Counterstrat again. They've been our main partner for all of these streams. And that's where we're getting all of this map insight from. And we said we're pretty confident in seeing Inferno again, but if we had to throw in some wild cards, Nuke is another favorite of Storm Surge, and the White Claw Shotgunners apparently also feel pretty okay with it. Anubis, could be a wild card. It is officially in the map pool again. Some changes as well to Anubis, a couple reworks, those mid doors, especially in the new hole on Anubis that people have been talking about on Twitter all day. So we could see it. I don't think we're going to. I think teams might want a little bit more time just to sort of get used to the changes. But like you said, Patrick, we'll talk about Inferno. Like, we'll assume that we're going there again. And a lot of these points we're going to be reusing from Tuesday is that Storm Surge on the T side, it's the banana execution. You called it there. That's where it has to get done. Doyle, Punisher, Desolation. Those are the guys that I'm looking for to make that play happen. And if Doyle can sort of tap in to the magic that he was getting, that he was using at the start of Tuesday's game, then they should be fine, assuming they can get these rotations to come through.
Yeah, absolutely right. But it's all about, again, the aggressiveness of the take. On that T side, you need to make sure that when you're hitting something, you're hitting it hard, especially when we see that the tendencies from the CT side over for White Claw shows that, again, you're going to meet players like Blur, Mikey in there sometimes, but you have the advantage of knowing if you've done your homework that there are three players on this team that don't typically find themselves being present here all that much on the CT side. So if you've done your research, you know that there's definitely a huge numbers advantage not having to deal with the brunt of maybe a three stack on banana. You can really try to jar some of those picks loose and hopefully make a whole lot of distance because those rotations on Inferno hurt so long.
So long, those rotations. And again, that's why we see so many saves having to be called on Inferno, because if you're taking banana and B is completely wide open, if you kill the guy holding top banana and everyone else is holding A, that is so hard to rotate back into
Yeah.
through CT, through Temple. That's so impossible, especially if the T's have a lot of util still at their disposal. So you really have to make sure that your CT defense is so stout. And we'll talk about that defense for Storm Surge. And again, it's similar. It's these heavy banana holds. It's your guy, your main three: Doyle, Punisher, Desolation, the guys who are going to be there. But if you see a lot of executes from, on the A side, which seems like the wildcard shotgunners, or the White Claw shotgunners, I should say, if they aggress heavy over to A. So you're gonna have to be ready for a flip of the script potentially.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, again, it's not something that we're kind of new to, especially after doing our homework as well. Players that sometimes like to make some late rotations, for example, Caesar, as well as one to look for. So, again, like I've said before, these players, they're not new to anything. They know what to do in situations where the first thing doesn't go right. That's great. We always have a plan two. There's always a plan B, right? And again, organized teams, they're going to grill you if you're not down quick on your takes. So again, like we said, we know that that's somewhere where Storm Surge was struggling with. It's going to be really interesting to see that when they deal with a team like White Claw Shotgunners, WCS, again, they seem to be a lot more spread and they don't have a lot more of a hold on Banana than they do on the A apartment side. So it's going to be interesting to see what Storm Surge does in order to try to quicken up on their takes through that Banana side and, tricks they have up their sleeves and what they've been working on to improve since Tuesday.
Well, hope they have improved a lot, especially if we're going to Inferno. We'll get into predictions. I think we already know what we're predicting. I think we both talked about it pretty in depth. I think we're feeling pretty
It
confident.
just goes to Anubis. Why not?
Hey, it could happen. I mean, we're going to get the reveal in just a couple seconds, and here it is. Oh, no, I think I'm jumping the gun a little bit, too. We're still talking map predictions. We'll get to the reveal. Oh, never mind. It is Inferno once again. That's 3 for 3 or 4 for 4 for us using Counterstrat. So thankfully, all of our analysis not in vain tonight. So again, we have a pretty good idea of what to expect. Like we said, it's all going to come down, obviously, to the most important part. And, maybe we'll celebrate with the new graphic for getting it right. That's a good thumbnail reaction right there, is that
Yeah.
somebody should screenshot that and take that, but
Snowman, wow.
hey,
Shout out shout
we're
out to
trying
our
to
cloud
add
team.
some detail,
I
to
like
the
it.
stream, just to enhance the viewer experience. That's what we're all about here at True North Studios. And I guess now that we've sort of accurately predicted the map, Smoke, let's get into score predictions. What do we think? Who
Oof.
is coming out of Inferno on top and unburned?
Hmm. Okay, so we were saying, sorry, so Storm Surge, again, we were saying that they need to kind of clean up their banana takes, as well as the fact that they're 1 and 2. They're really playing with a chip on their shoulder right now. You do not want to start off the in the round four of ESEA on 1 and 3. That would really, really suck here. So while I am rooting for my guys, I feel like when it comes to a map like Inferno, it's kind of sort of the situation of everybody's seen it before. So no matter what, whether it's just cleaning up on comms or cleaning up on positioning or just chemistry in general, I think that this is going to be something that actually takes them a little longer to figure out. And you know what? I get it. We're following that team, but you asked me, and as a caster, I got White Claw Shotgunners taking this one. So call me a hater all you want, but listen, if I get the prediction right, you can't really say I didn't know what I was talking about.
Hey, it's always good to have a split opinion on the desk, because that makes our
There you go.
conversation so much more interesting. I do think it will be tough again. Like you said, Storm Surge playing with a bit of a chip on their shoulder this evening. But after the interview we did with Desolation on
Feeling confident?
Tuesday, and what he was saying about how the team, really needs to figure out what the problem is and just really start to figure out, where it is. And maybe that does get back to, let's just get back to basics. Remember the game we like to play, remember who we are as a team, and know what we're capable of. And I can't think of a better way to find your identity again than on a map that you guys love to play and scrim all the time. So the lights have never been brighter. The expectations have never been bigger, but I think I'm going to take Storm Surge again this time. I think it's going to be close, though. I'll say like a 13-9. I think they will have to fight a little bit. Maybe the defense and the attacking side for White Claw, maybe that, shakes things up a little bit or makes it a little tricky for a Storm Surge to adjust. But I think at the end of the day, they will finally get back in the win column tonight.
Yeah, you know what? And I mean, absolutely. You have every right to think that. I think that when teams have their backs against the wall, especially players of this caliber, that's when you really start to see them shine. And they do not mess around with this stuff. If the players are saying that they are trying to work these errors out by any means necessary, they've probably been grinding these past 2 days, knowing that you're playing a team that has a decent record for now, right? So again, no pushovers on either side here. So for Storm Surge, Evan, I get it. I totally get it. And look, I'm rooting for them as well because when you guys are following them in their whole journey to frag. Two, the fact that they're 1-2, and I don't like to see teams down and out, especially early. Going down 1-3, that's going to have some real big mental implications for the rest of the season moving forwards. So you know what? Getting them back up to 2-2, it would be a nice sight to see. But me, I'm keeping it purely analytical.
Purely in analytics, and that's a good way to do it. It's a good way to do it, not held down by any emotional ties anywhere. So we'll see what happens. We're getting close to getting into game, and again, a reminder for everybody. This is only a best of one, so it is going to be one map played tonight, one map, one winner, taking it all. But again, like we said, it'll be tough for them, and we can talk about, because again, we're still waiting just a little bit longer to get, and we can talk about the other big thing that should be mentioned today. We mentioned Anubis back, and the map pool train is out, so apologies to all train enjoyers. You had it briefly, and now it's gone once again because Anubis is back. The MP7 also getting some changes today, not just Anubis, the only thing coming out unchanged. The MP7 getting a buff, cheaper by $100 now. The damage falloff reduced. The damage also increased slightly for the MP7. Now, I don't think this necessarily moves the needle that much, in terms of if we're going to see it at high level competitive play, but it definitely does make it a little bit more of a viable option if you need something a little bit, cheaper, or you're on like an eco or a half buy, maybe a little bit more of an interesting option that players might not expect to come out.
I was gonna say, you know what? On like ecos or light buy rounds, I would actually love to see that in action, and you know that's the nice little thing with little patches like this. Crazy buff though, when you're not only like just lowering the price, but then also upping the damage and reducing the fall off range of that as well. That's kind of sick.
Why not?
So hey, you know what? Why not? I love when game devs just sort of just throw a wrench into everything and are like, you know what? Buff it. Who cares? So hey, you know what? I love the direction that that's going in, and yeah, I just can't wait to see some amazing CS. Why don't we, for the viewers at home, Evan, we already know about the tendencies that Storm Surge kind of does. Why don't we break down sort of the playstyle on what you can sort of expect from this Shotgunners team going into Inferno?
Yeah, for sure. And like we said, a lot of this, the Inferno gameplay from the White Claw Shotgunners, it's really a determined, where that's a little interesting, because when you ask a lot of teams where their main focus is, it is usually that B side. That is, sort of that main sort of focal point of the map. So seeing a team that definitely favors A is going to be interesting. And looking at guys like, Seizure, these heavy apartment players, Tech also, this mid apartments pushing player, like it really does sort of change the pace a little bit. And we mentioned that rotations, especially if you're sort of investing heavily into a B hold and you just have a T rush A, like, yeah, it's not impossible to retake. It's the easier of the two sites to retake, but that definitely does become difficult if, say the White Claw Shotgunners only have, 4 players or 3 players left. There are still a lot of post plant setups that can cover so many angles. You have one player sort of covering balcony and truck, maybe in pit, behind the half wall. You have somebody who's back sight, potentially somebody watching kitchen and wine, or like the top bracket. Like there are limited angles to retake. And yes, it is a little easier than B to retake, but man, like every rotation or every post plant on Inferno has to be executed so perfectly. And if Storm Surge or either of these teams that they want to win, they have to be ready to fight for these potential retakes.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? Again, like we said before, there's got to be a trick up the sleeves of White Claw Shotgunners, because it's like you said, it's not very common that you see teams not focus their brunt of their forces on banana slash the B side, because if that gets taken, obviously you have your temple retake and whatnot. And the whole point is it takes long to get there. Most people, they just elect to save at that point. So you have a team that then favors A on defense. That's a little weird. That's a little interesting. Why could that be? I'm telling you right now, keep your eyes out for Tech. This guy is a flex holder on A and can literally be anywhere. We have heat maps of him on bracket, stairs to apartments, truck, basically anywhere A short. The guy can play around. He is extremely confident in these positions, and he can pretty much hit you from anywhere. So, again, when you have a team that needs to try to clean up on their banana takes, that kind of leaves me to think, okay, you also got a player who aggressively plays A short. Man, watch out for those backstabs because they could definitely be coming, especially if we see the call as well is banana that side. Sometimes watch out for seizure as well. Can usually go for some backstabs. As he usually looks to be heavy on early rotations on the T side, you can expect that he's going to be familiar with flank play as well. So you can expect that on both ends of the field. And hey, you know what? All I got to say, given the facts of where these heat maps have been showing us, thanks to Counterstrat, this one is all chalked up to be very interesting.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say all this insight, once again, being brought to us by Counterstrat. If you want to use it yourself, you can sign up on the website. And yeah, it's great for not just map heat maps to see where players and tendencies like to go, but checking map vetoes as well. And that's how we were able to accurately predict this Inferno match. And we are going to head there right now as we are ready for the knife round, the ceremonial knife round to start. We already know who's going to start on what side. It looks like it's going to be Storm Surge starting on the CT side. White Claw Shotgun is going to be on the T side. And ladies and gentlemen, for your entertainment.
I was gonna say immediately Doyle with the two on the 3-piece as well. Man, give that boy Forrest. Beautiful stuff there from the ceremonious knife round, and you gotta appreciate the knife play from Doyle and the crew on Storm Surge.
Hey, if that's going to be a preview for what we're going to see from Doyle, again, went
We're in for a
absolutely
show.
dummy the first half of that game, and the reason why Storm Surge had a bit of a lead, but obviously couldn't get past the rest of it. The heat check died out eventually, as it always does, but it's for real now. No more ceremony, all gas, no brakes. Storm Surge and the White Claw Shotgunners. And here we go, and Shotgunners already getting things started. We're going to get a smoke out near mid. The rest of the team heading near apartments. It's going to be Desolation first to meet him. And one effective. Why not a third? Can't make it happen as Mikey ends his reign of terror, but damage already done. Khan's is going to have to fall back, fighting 2 for his troubles.
Oh, man.
Hangman, the only man left standing.
Yeah, and immediately you saw Storm Surge. They are not afraid to immediately take the fight to the players on stairs. Good work on balcony as well as now Hangman traversing the backside. Doyle looking for a little bit of a backstab and might have the read on this one too. Crossing around the corner, and he's going to find the headshot with the dualies. Good cleanup from Doyle and Storm Surge. A quick first round goes in their favor.
And that's exactly the start you want for Storm Surge. Getting a chance to have a hot start. You don't lose a lot of people as well, so you get that extra CT frag bonus. And we're going to take a look at that replay, and it starts from Desolation, getting it done on the stairs, and then Kanzi, 2 dinks to get it done. And Hangman, yes, you do find 1 pick at the end, but does not matter. Storm Surge find their first, and they're bringing some upgraded equipment now. We see Doyle with the UMP. That's sort of one of his trademarks. And ooh, a 1 Deeg coming through from Tech, another one as well. Why not a third? Tech is just absolutely frying with the Deagle right now. Storm Surge already having their hands full. The 1v1 now, all left to Cubed. I mean, that was just so quick, Smoke.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, huge when now you can also look at Josh with the upgrade now, as he definitely has a fair chance. Yes, low on HP, but at least in weaponry on quite the even side now, as Plant going down on that B side of things. That CT connector smoked off, and it looks like Cubed is going to have to work his way through Banana.
Cube does have a kit to work with. He doesn't need that many shots to connect here onto Josh. Just going to have to hopefully benefit from some timing. Definitely made a little bit of noise using that molly to clear out Dark, but it doesn't matter as he hits the shot he needs, and we'll get the defuse. Storm Surge find their second.
Man, I mean, again, good retake through Banana from Cubed, but that being said, 4 going down as, again, a really good effort from the shotgunners. We immediately saw Kanzi with a little bit of a two-piece there with the M4, but it's not going to work in their favor fully, as some incredible deagle play as well from, I believe, who was it? Was it Mike?
It was Tech.
Or was it Tech? Yeah, okay. Beautiful stuff there is what popped damn near 3.
Yeah, and looking fairly easy as well. Very easy breezy for Tech, and we're going to see if they can tap into it a little bit more, and not a good start for the shotgunners as Doyle going to find a dunk. A response from Tech. He's kind of been the guy thus far for the shotgunners to make something happen, but still a 4v3. Desolation getting some early value with that op. That's what we want to see. That op neutralized a little bit the previous game on Inferno. Really good to see Desolation heating up early.
Yeah, you know, again, good stuff making sure the nade out logs. We saw Josh kind of tucked in there, and, you know, from earlier, I know Blur's not in this matchup, but through his tendencies, that was a note that we actually made there, Evan, is that when Banana's being called on for an initial take, that log side is usually sat by those couple of players, so needs to go out, and a good clear out here as Caesar able to try to take one Tech with another now on to Cubed, and Caesar with a plant here is going to come through as now, Storm, you got to try to retake through this 1/Moto side.
Yeah, first time we're really getting to see a real retake opportunity from Storm Surge. We talked about how A was going to be the site, and there is a reason for that. White Claw Shotgunner so good at executing onto this A site, and they have been spamming that button thus far. And they finally get on the board and steal Desolation's up.
Yeah, and I mean, that's absolutely huge, as Tech going to look for having a lot of fun in that. Cubed just sadly not able to get the job done in pit on that half wall, and now, like we say earlier, giving up an op in this equation, not something that Storm Surge were looking forward to having to face this early in the round, or in the game.
Yeah, Desolation losing that op, so gonna have to settle with an upgraded pistol. It's gonna be Cube, the only rifler on the side of Storm Surge, so a lot of pressure to make sure you find an early pick to get some momentum, maybe steal a rifle. So that was the best looking round we've seen from the shotgunners. Pace already slowed down. You could see Storm Surge reallocating their assets to hold this A site. So you have Desolation as your lone B holder, playing very far back, all the way into connector. The rest of the team sort of spread out through bracket and close to the stairs. And both teams, they're not taking any space. They are really trying to take it slow. Desolation holding on to that smoke for dear life.
Yeah, absolutely. As the P comes through, though, and that's going to be Tech. You use the man's weapon against him, and what do you get? You get a decent kill on top Banana. So,
but look at this.
Now, seems like this rotation's actually going to come through, as now Hangman just waiting with that smoke as the execute can come in. Phantom pressure as well onto that top Banana side, but I believe if we look over here, Doyle is very much aware of the intentions of the shotgunners as the movement now comes in. Engagements soon to happen as Tech is going to be able to find Punisher. The reswing now from Cube is going to be able to find 3 with Kanzi as well. Give him a 4th. Doyle able to get some shots off as well onto that player. As now Mikey finds himself in a very interesting position. A 1v3, speeding his way through 1, is going to be able to pick up 1. The molly goes down. Quick swing onto the box, but cannot find the headshot. Kanzi, well-placed molly, will earn him his kill. Mikey goes down, and Storm Surge take 3-1.
What an absolute hero play from Cube. That looked like a round that could have slipped through the fingers of Storm Surge, but it all gets saved on the back of Cube, just absolutely nestling himself into a perfect spot. Nobody clears that side, and he just absolutely frags out. Huge impact for Cube to keep Storm Surge in the game here, and I think they really benefited from that call coming through for the White Gun Shotgunners. They looked like they were going to hard commit to this B, and then that fake, that rotate over to A, they were expecting it, they were waiting for it. They totally won that first test. And Kanzi, he's getting things going already.
Man.
Fast and furious, the game plan again. All blue in the kill feed. Tech left holding the pieces, but we know what he could do with that Deagle. Do not doubt this man.
Listen, I mean, I was gonna say he can maybe make some shots work, but there's no way we're gonna just sit there and give him 5 isolated 1v1s now, Evan, are we? I mean, I'll tell you what.
You would think.
You would think. One would think. Look, we have seen crazier things before. Hey, you know what? Desolation. He's probably feeling very good as he's gotten his off back.
Yeah, and again, another big play coming through from, you know, Patrick, if I had a nickel for every time somebody on Storm Surge with a C in their gamer tag to get multiple kills in a round near A, I would have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but very strange that it happened twice in 2 rounds. And we'll see if it happens again for a third time. I doubt it. You would think the Shotgunners would learn a little bit. But again, it's just been these A executes that were really coming through. And again, this is pretty much what we called in the pre-show and what we were expecting from this team.
Yeah, and I was going to say, as this top and Anna pressure comes through, it's going to have to stall out due from the mollies. Player's going to kind of wrap back, just get a little more util on this re-aggression as the smoke goes down. Nade just over the bend to see if you can clear anything out. Cubed with a beautiful headshot, though. Tech goes down, and this is a huge round right now for the Shotgunners that they would need to win to help their eco, but the trade's going back and forth. They're favoring Storm Surge.
Yeah, Q just absolutely diffed Tech on that exchange, and Doyle also finding some value as well. We talked about how the UMP is sneaky. Don't be sleeping on it. Punisher, he's going to try and get activated now. Finds one picked on a Juice. Going to have to fall back into Temple. That Molly going to delay getting back onto the site. Cubed sort of on the outside looking in. Going to be a little bit tougher now as Seizure and Hangman dispatch these 2 members of Storm Surge. So back to a 2v2 now. Kanzi and Cubed, the only ones left for Storm Surge. All up to Cube now. He's been the guy for Storm Surge thus far in the game. Does he have another hero play in him? Does clear out Hangman. It's all going to be Seizure, but can't get it done. Switches to his weapon backing up. White Claw Shotgunners, by the skin of their teeth, find round number 2.
Great timing there by Seizure, and you know what? We'll talk about not great timing from Storm Surge there, especially moving out of Temple into that garden area. We see the 2 picks going through a little bit of awkward timing. Could have been, honestly, pretty much solved with a little more of a 3-2-1, but delayed pressure, maybe comms, you know, weren't up to snuff. And look, who knows? Because as an outsider looking in, it just seems a little weird that we give them 3 semi-isolated 1v1s on that garden side.
Yeah, I would agree, but I got to give credit to just the skill of the White Claw Shotgunners, because thus far,
yeah,
it does look like Storm Surge have been playing a much cleaner game. Again, knock on wood, you know, thus far. It is only round number 7 of this best of 1, but I am impressed with what I've seen so far from Storm Surge. Just have to keep, you know, the pace going. Just to keep, you know, keeping on, whatever you want to say. Just keep doing what's working. And I think what is working for the White Claw Shotgunners is these A executes, but this might not be the call. And Seizure, yeah, getting caught with his pants down, and Doyle, he's going to take advantage of that every day of the week. And now the execute does finally come through. More picks coming through. Punisher and Juice trading blows, and Juice is going to get that bomb down as well.
Oh man, almost got his head taken off though, as op shot through the smoke will not hit. Hopefully the next one does, at least if you're a Storm Surge fan. Is now Juice chilling in that dark area. As now the reswing comes over from the CT connector. Kanzi, we've seen him be the entry for multiple of these occasions. The swing has to come through, and it very much does. Good retaking ability from Storm Surge. This one should be all good to go. Give him the 5th on the scoreboard, and Storm Surge on their retakes, looking very clean.
Yeah, thus far, I mean, that was the perfect way to get it done, and that's what you want to see, a full team effort coming through from Storm Surge to get it done. And like we said, it just looks like they're playing a lot better. They're playing a lot cleaner thus far, and they're coming out firing. Like you said, chip on their shoulder potentially, and they've been living up to the billing. That's going to force a timeout coming through from the Shotgunners. I don't hate this call. You've been sort of trading blows back and forth. Storm Surge been getting the better of you, but you still feel like they're in this game. It might take 1 or 2 rounds to flip momentum the other way for them.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you just got to stop the hot hand and kind of have a little bit of more of a question being asked of how do we deal with cubed, man? I mean, this guy has just been off to a red hot start. And don't get me wrong, KDs and everything in CS. Like, obviously, we could talk about the very close situations that could have been. Caesar, that last round, man, was staring at what could have been a potential double you work your way up the stairs, but all what could have been, because as casters and observers, we have walls, and, well, these players don't.
So true, but I'm sure they wish they had the walls that we had, but I think that would question the integrity of the ESEA.
That is cheating,
division,
my friend.
That is the very definition of cheating, which, to be clear, we do not condone here at True North Studios, just so we get that out of the way. We do condone Cube swinging out, but not going to happen as Hangman. Him and Juice going to team up for that one, and that timeout might be benefiting White Claw Shotgunners, but does not matter when you have Desolation clicking bodies like that. Mikey, once again, in a tough spot. Look at Storm Surge as well. Not only finding the picks they need, but finding picks in bunches as well, and that really has been the key to their success thus far.
How many players right now can you count that have come out from that A short / balcony side, and they're dying to this position right outside of pit? I mean, on that A side. I mean, that is just ridiculous. It's just been Storm Surge's spot all game. Is now the re-rotation through Banana came through, and Mikey able to get the bomb down in a 1v3 scenario. CT side smoked off, but immediately as it dissipates, sees a target-rich environment, and Kanzi knows where to put his sight lines. Able to clean off Mikey and is able to bag Storm Surge a 6th on the day.
Already tying their round total from Tuesday, and we're not out of the first half yet, so a much improved Storm Surge have come to play. Round number 9, a 4-round lead. Kanzi, he's had a slow start to this season. Haven't really been calling his name too much on these broadcasts, but he has been making an impact. Gets the MVP of that previous round. And Desolation again, finding the big picks with the op. Only has 6, maybe not as much as you would be thinking, but like you said, Smoke, KD, not everything, and it's all about the value of the pick that you find. And Desolation, he has been striking gold every single time.
Yeah, as now you're going to see logs being fragged out as car position gets smoked back off as Punisher. I think a few shots go through onto the Banana side, but not going to find any real value just yet as Desolation holding this stairs position. Really, really calm take right now from the Shotgunners. So it almost feels like they don't really know exactly where to take yet. No one's really giving them an in. Kanzi's like, you know what? Screw this. I want some action. Takes one, but the trades are all going in Shotgunner's favor. You take what the defense gives you, and in this case, for the Shotgunners, it's a complete control of A site.
Complete control of A, and they're using this advantage, and Mikey not getting cleared out from sandbags, so this definitely looking a little hairy for the side of Storm Surge. It's Punisher going to upgrade to the AK. He's going to have to get them all to find the round. That's a very tall order coming through. Bomb going to go down as well, so have to move quickly to find a way through, and I don't even know if Punisher is going to want to attempt this. And yeah, he's just going to concede the save here.
Yeah, I mean, again, no reason to just give the AK up, especially in a 1v3 scenario. And you have round advantage as well. So, look, it makes all the sense. Is now It's going to be interesting to see if the Shotgunners are really going to even put that much effort into chasing him down. You can have 3 players just simply living on a round win. It seems like Tech's trying to make his way down Banana, starting to try to apply a little bit of pressure. But that being said, by the time the bomb goes off, I'm sure we're going to be seeing no engagements that Punisher's looking to put himself in, is just going to tuck into this corner and make sure that he lives to fight another day.
And sometimes that's what it's all about. You know, once you see that a round is unwinnable, keep the AK into the next round. At least invest a little bit into your econ. You get a couple picks, so you get a little bit of a bonus. Everybody going to basically have a full utility belt, but everybody looking pretty broke on the side of Storm Surge. So this is a very critical round now for them. Oh,
not the chicken, man.
Oh, man. That's
uncalled for.
They better not get PETA flagging our stream because of that.
That's horrible. Okay, anyway. working way down Banana now is immediately looking through this mid position, being
Doyle
held by Desolation. He is. I was gonna say, Desolation able to find one mid, and no MP7 action coming through from Doyle. Blink and he's gone, as now Mikey able to clean his head off his shoulders as the rewrap or potential rewrap comes in through A, although it really does seem like, wow, man, these White Claw shotgunners, they have been so stumped sometimes, and they seem very, very slow and unsure of how they want their pushes to kind of go. As 45 seconds left, they do make the call that they're just going to stack Banana and see if they can get a quick take on to B, but these rotations are going to happen soon through Arch, and you got to make sure that you hit this site fast. It's going to be Punisher on quad, waiting on the incoming pressure, and look at, again, all of the shotgunners just getting ripped to shreds on this entry. It's all down to Caesar. Going to see if he can try to find a couple, but in such a tough position. Dual-sided pressure coming through. Not that he probably knows of it. The Banana player exposing himself, and Cubed going to be able to finish the job. Storm take their 7th.
Desolation going to take MVP of that round, and I mean, absolutely deserved it. As he, despite his crimes against Chicken, oh man, a slow-mo too. That's just diabolical,
every time.
Guys. Come on, Prod. That's crazy. But I was going to say, that round really comes off of his shoulders there, using that op to hold down that B side and delay that push, because the reason the shotgunners don't aggress as early as they do, you have to wait for the reinforcements to come, and you know that there's an opper holding that site, so that is not an easy task to do that when you're not at full numbers and you have an opper you have to try and potentially flash out, and Desolation staying the course, and once again, it's the value that he gets from that op. Really, really impressive stuff thus far. And so far, Cubed has been impressive as well. Going to find a double before taking a dirt nap. 3v2 now. Storm Surge still in the lead. This execute going to have to come down to A. Konzi. He's going to be that first line of defense now. Going to have reinforcements in from Punisher. Oh, Konzi. So inspirational watching him play. Just gonna have to get through Seizure. The head pops up. The head falls down. Storm Surge get to 8. What man as well. All right.
Konzi having quite the game right now with Cubed, as these two have just looked nothing short of immaculate. And again, rewinding earlier, Cubed making this huge play through this A short side, and then Konzi just, again, you see heads pop up, and they're going to be cleaned off of shoulders. So now the shotgunners, they need to try to find something that makes them feel comfortable. And so far, if I had to imagine, comfortable has been the least they felt all game so far, Evan.
Oh, you can tell Konzi is definitely feeling it. I mean, look how aggressive and how far up Storm Surge was pushing, and the round is already over. I mean, just that's ego check right there. Ego check and banked. 9-3 at halftime. My goodness, what a flip of the script from Tuesday. Storm Surge have come back with a vengeance to Inferno. We switch back to the T side now, but you've already banked up a lot on the CT side. You just have to stay the course and ride the wave to the end.
Hey, and look, I mean, you know what? shout out to you, Evan, not really Evan Johnson,
Oh,
because you
thanks.
called this one as of this far. I was interested to see how Storm Surge, what they were going to do to improve since Tuesday. And, I thought these little dents that they had exposed were going to take some time to iron out. But it seems like that is not the case, as they just look a completely different beast. And making a 2-1 team like White Claw Shotgunners look quite weak, if I had to say so myself.
Yeah, they're just reading the calls early, and again, we saw it in the last one. It's just some of these duels, they're just ego challenging and they're winning as well.
Yeah.
And you can tell that they are starting to really feel it right now. I mean, this might go sideways if you can't get B. Seizure also in a very tough spot. This is a spot that Storm Surge was sort of abusing on their CT side, and Storm Surge struggling with it as well on their T side. They're going to lose this pistol unless Kanzi can go absolutely nutty with the Glock. Not going to happen, unfortunately. So White Claw Shotgunners win the pistol on their CT side. You would assume that they're probably going to win this bonus one as well.
Mm-hmm.
So shaving that deficit down a little bit more, but we'll see what Storm Surge has in the tank already. We know that these upgraded pistols definitely can do some damage given the right situation, and with some perfectly timed aggression, you could catch the CTs off guard.
Yeah, absolutely is. Again, it seems like Evan. Does anybody want to clear that spot in between truck and pit? I don't think so,
I guess
because
not.
I guess not. New tech, one could say, because clearly no one's seen it before, or else this would have been dealt with earlier. No, I'm just kidding. It's now Doyle and company looking to go through this balcony side, and Tech and Caesar waiting with open arms to it. I was going to say, found a couple of picks there as the rush came through, and Hangman, some good shots there, is going to be able to down Kanzi. Desolation, the last one remaining. And in a 1v3 situation, you have to take gunfights. Frag going
That's
to
a big grenade.
go through, but even then, you had the swing around the mid side coming through as well. So dual-sided pressure plus a two-sided stack on that moto side of things. It's not looking all that good for Storm Surge's last remaining man. So 9-5, but again, like we said earlier, due to eco advantage, not surprising in the slightest, as it looks like we're going to have to go that same route again.
Well, interesting as well that this is another eco for Storm Surge coming through, as they did not want to invest a lot. I mean, what could you invest? You didn't get a lot of picks, so not a big boost to your economy. Can't get the bomb planted as well, so no bonus there either. So this could be another good chance for the Shotgunners to get some momentum back in their favor. All depends on who finds this first pick and who finds the opening to get through in a lane. We see Kanzi already down in apartments on this lurk. I'm interested to see where they decide to invest, as all the util for Storm Surge already has been used, so you don't have a smoke for a CT connector, and you're just on pistol, so a really interesting play call here. I'm almost wondering if they're trying to bait the Shotgunners into a trap and maybe just trying to bait out some aggression, maybe steal some rifles or maybe find a way in.
Yeah, well, I mean, time can definitely work its way into being the sixth man for Storm Surge. Is, again, it's going to be some positions that need clearing out as they all flood through. But I mean, this is just absolutely brutal. Mikey, Juice, Caesar, they're all waiting with open arms. And I mean, man, it really does seem like the Shotgunners are making quite the comeback. And to me, this is where we get into the importance of coming out from Tuesday, right? We questioned if maybe this could have been also a mental spiral. To me, the way the rest of this game goes is going to prove how resilient Storm Surge are. Are they going to snowball like they did on Tuesday? Or are they going to be able to dig their boots in, strap in, and take this game into the control that they once had at 9-3?
Well, this is where the pressure really starts to mount, because now there aren't any excuses. You have full rifles, you have util to work with this time, so this is really where it comes down. And this B-side hold, it's been Mikey and Juice who have been sort of the main sentinels on this B-side, and we saw it in the last round. I mean, I guess last round is a bit tough because you're just on pistols. You don't have any util to work with either. So can't really use that as a good example, but definitely something to be said about the way that the shotgunners want to play this. Oh, great shot. While still flashed as Punisher able to find a pick. So that's going to be the entry that Storm Surge needs, and Cubed is finally going to get that bomb planted. We're going to see how Storm Surge can hold the tide back of these shotgunners.
Man, and I mean, what a play as well. Desolation able to just hang up on the top of Coffin, finds the player rotating in through Garden. Tech going to try his luck, and he's going to be able to at least find one on the Desolation, but the Molly combined with shots ringing in from Punisher going to be the undoing there of Doyle, is now Kanzi trying to walk his way in, make a play, finds the spray onto one. The last player remaining in that dark position is Caesar. Has to take the swing out onto one, but cannot find it. Punisher, through the smoke, will be able to get the job done. Shout out Denzel Curry, that just played in my ear. As now, Storm Surge going to be able to take their 10th round. I don't know if anyone else just heard that or if that was just me.
Oh, no, we all heard it.
Okay, perfect.
Don't listen to it too hard. We don't want to get DMCA'd right now, so don't think about it too hard. But
is unreleased, bro. Trust.
It does
we all know.
Hey, I mean, I think Kanzi, I think he deserves to hear that kind of music, or Punisher's music, whatever it was at the end of it. But big play, and again, that all happens because Punisher finds that pick while being flashed. That gives them the space to get onto the site and set up for that retake, and that's what you need to see, is that White Claw shotgunners, they've been countering a little bit. Storm Surge comes back with a haymaker, and this is a really good opportunity for them now to try and build that econ back up, put White Claw shotgunners into an uncomfortable position again, and just get back to the dominance you had at the start. And Execute gonna come through. Great molly as well. That's gonna have to force Juice out of that position on quad. He's gonna back up close to the site, but he has 4 members of Storm Surge waiting for his demise, and they find it. So Storm Surge barrel their way through Banana, get the bomb down once again in a similar spot to where they were last time. And it looks like the shotgunners, I think they have to call the save here.
And again, right, we talked about how Storm Surge, they need to clean up their banana takes, and especially against the team that we broke down, likes to only stack 3 people on that A side of things. I think Storm Surge is kind of picking up on the read now for the second round in a row. Okay, they kind of take presence on B a little lightly here. If we just 5-man force our way through, we can find some early plant potential and immediate post-plant crosses that we can find with great value. So, hey, you know what? Shout outs to Storm Surge, because it seems like they're reading into how the shotgunners like to play on Inferno CT side. But now I want to know, what is it going to take? How many times is losing Banana and costing yourself a round on B? How long is it going to take before you start stacking more people to help out those 2 players?
Well, I'm interested to see if Storm Surge continues to spam this B call, or do you change it up and try and catch the shotgunners off guard? It's going to be a little tougher now, as you do have Tech with that op. Desolation already taking a little bit of damage, and that op does come into play early on, as Doyle going to be the first to fall. So that already changes the play call a little bit. That grenade also not making it through near to connector, maybe trying to clear out a potential player in sandbags, but does not matter. Wasted regardless. Now Storm Surge need to pick up the pieces of this push, and it looks like they're just gonna stay the course and gonna keep going on this banana. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it necessarily. Juice has been a little weaker on this side as he's warming up that grenade to throw. But that could be devastating, but depending on the timing of what happens here, a Storm Surge getting stacked up.
Yeah, and I was going to say the take has to come through soon as well. We saw that Mikey really was one to wrap down to that A side, and is realizing very quickly that you may have made a mistake. Clearing out the garden player is going to have to be everything, though, as this initial pressure onto Quad is going to be enough from the nades to get rid of Juice, as now Punisher and company taking refuge into the site. Tech with that op. They know about his position now as
Look at Kanzi, though.
sitting sandbags. Hangman going to be able to find Punisher through the smoke. Desolation and Kanzi working in tandem. Kanzi now through that sandbag side, but he's the only one left remaining. And I was going to say, his death probably coming very soon, as White Claw Shotgunners able to find a retake there.
It was a good attempt from Storm Surge, though. You just couldn't get the op out of Tech's hands, and that really was the key factor. And I don't think they expected that rotate to come through so early. And yeah, this first pick here, losing Doyle early, definitely a big factor of that as well. So definitely going to have to be something they consider. Tech has been on one for the White Claw Shotgunners thus far. Him and Seizure sort of leading the way. But not impossible yet. You do force yourself into a full buy here as Punisher and Cubed max out their credit card. We'll see if Storm Surge can take back this momentum and force match point.
Man, it's just, Evan, I mean, it really is just the same defense time and time again. I guess you have Tech just sitting in that wine area, can quickly rotate through that CT connector if needed, but it seems like the White Claw Shotgunners, they're just going to keep the same take up. Molly's flying through smokes as well. You call out utility, it's being put on as now Juice sitting in quads. Mikey blind, going to be able to find the pick on the Punisher, but Kanzi and Doyle working themselves through the site. Desolation trying to find a plant right behind that fountain is now this rotation coming in from the Shotgunners. Let's see how they play their retake.
And it's going to come down to if they can clear out this Opper in Garden. So he's going to have a good line of sight onto Q potentially. Storm Surge nestled in the corners, trying to make sure they are out of sight and out of mind of the Shotgunners. Desolation. He's going to find two and avoids the bullets of the op as Cubed finishes it off. Match point Storm Surge. It's now or never for the Shotgunners.
And this is looking really good. We saw the Shotgunners getting some rounds back, but Storm Surge, man, do they know how to make one hell of a rebound. Kanzi, Cubed, doing most of the lifting, with Desolation actually being right there as in terms of the kills department. But hey, everyone on this team, as far as I'm concerned, doing their job, filling their role to a T. Is now, you can see finally, after how many rounds, it's going to be the Shotgunners who are going to take more than two players onto this banana side, and, you know, a little bit of early aggression, keeping things quite even to a T as kills going down, and it's going to be trades in favor of Storm Surge. And look at this, banana cleared all the way out. They know that they basically have a free walk up, and they are going to take it. And now, barring this retake, Storm Surge, you just got to hold your crosses and keep composed.
I mean, if anybody can retake it for the Shotgunners, it's Tech and Seizure. Like we said, they've been the guys to make the big play and step up for the Shotgunners tonight so far. And now as Tech goes, Seizure, he's got a 1v2 left, does have an AK to work with, gonna extinguish that smoke with the... Gonna extinguish the molly with the smoke, using the flash to get some space as well. Does find the shots onto Cube and Punisher. White Claw Shotgunners, but I don't think he has enough time to defuse, and the molly's gonna finish him off. Storm Surge find a way forward. They find a way to win. But a great individual effort coming through from Seizure in the final round.
That was almost insane.
I was sweating a little bit.
I mean, whew, man, you could even just do it off a 3-2-1 if you want, but hey, you know what? Seizure, he made the shots land on those players in quad, and all credit to him, but hey, that's why you play your mollies, you play for smart lineups, because at the end of the day, they could be the very thing that win you the round, let alone the whole damn game. As, again, a really good one played out there by Storm Surge. And, man, you were talking about, oh, hey, they really want to work on their banana takes. Well, you know, this is going to be an interesting matchup, considering we know that this team plays a little more light on banana as the shotgunners. And hey, you know what? I bet you this is a really good game to feel out transitional play onto banana. If we need to clean that up, only having to deal with two players is going to make that way easier to start experimenting with.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm kind of surprised that the shotgunners didn't really adjust their strategy to this, because it was
I was
a
saying, man, like,
fairly similar call and execute every single time, and you're leaving Mikey and Juice by their lonesome. And how many times was Juice just exposed and crossed up when they go for these takes, right? The mollies, getting him out of position. I mean, looked a little lost there, and definitely the weakest player for the White Claw Shotgunners. We're going to get some highlights as well. We can talk about this a little bit more in depth, but yeah, just some really, bizarre, play calls, I
yes,
think, for the Shotgunners, and not committing to reinforcing their B holds. I think really let Storm Surge just fry away, even though that there definitely were some bright spots, I think, early for this team. Their T side, you have to admit, was fairly strong when guys like Seizure can make plays like that.
yeah, absolutely. But I mean, Eva, I think that's kind of the story here is, hey, you know what? No one seemed to be able on either side to clear out this A slash close to pit position. And, after I feel like Storm Surge, they just kind of looked at things the way they were. Hey, you know what? Anytime we've tried to even remotely think about positioning near A, we lose bodies untraded to it. So, crazy, insane idea. What if we just, like, don't do that? And if we know that there are only two players in banana, as seen after the first couple of rounds, it seems like they figured it out fairly quickly. Why don't we just like keep doing that and see how long it takes someone to adapt? Correct me if I'm wrong, Evan. I believe it was only the second to last round where we finally saw the shotgunners commit 3 people onto that B side.
I think you're right, but it doesn't really matter because, man, it was a really good night. If you were a member on Storm Surge, have 5 letters in your name, and that
Yes.
name also starts with the letter C, because Kanzi and Cubed, I think this really comes off the shoulders of their play. We talked about
Yep.
how Kanzi has had a very slow start to the season thus far. We've had some communication with him, and we know this has been a point of frustration and something that he's wanted to work on. And I think this sort of vindicates him a little bit. This is sort of the performance that we were expecting, and I think both those guys, and I think everybody on the team should be very proud of how they played tonight and how they rallied back from a tough first couple games. And like we said, it all comes back to that interview with Desolation. He talked about how they were really starting to focus on the fundamentals and really, figuring out how best to play, and get back to where they know they should be. And I think if this is a sign of things to come, we might be in for, some early struggles, but some resurgence after that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, look, if you wanted to coin a game to a phrase, take what the defense gives you is the number one thing that you saw there from Storm Surge. I mean, it's simple. They're like, if they really want to hold A that bad, that's great. We'll just beat them to the rotation every time when we 5-man clear out the 2 people in the banana slash B side. I mean, it really is that simple. There's no one holding the CT connector half the time when these pushes came through. That was something I really noticed as well was, hey, you know what? For the shotgunners, you have these 2 players who are either going to contest banana or sit back towards that quad slash fountain side. There weren't many times where I would see one rotate over to C or CT connector or have the player who was in wine for most of the time hold that CT connector side. I mean, guys, if it's happened for like 3-4 times in a row, it couldn't hurt. There's no way it could hurt. But I mean, the change just wasn't called early enough, and really big stuff from Storm Surges. They were just able to capitalize on mistakes that the shotgunners were just making over and over and over again.
Yeah, but hey, it doesn't matter. They don't ask how, they ask how many.
How
And
many?
that's a second win for Storm Surge tonight, and that is
Huge.
going to do it for us tonight on the stream. First and foremost, we want to thank our partners on the stream. We want to thank Counterstrat for all of this intel. I mean, we have just been perfect thus far. Every single stream, that's 3 for 3 now. We've used Counterstrat to accurately predict the map that gets chosen. So if that's not a good endorsement for the service, I don't know what is. So we want to say thank you to them, and we also want to thank Storm Surge for giving us the opportunity to follow their journey and get close and personal with their players. It has been such a pleasure thus far, and we're really excited for what next week is going to hold. We'll be back on Tuesday. Our streams Tuesday, Thursday for these main division games for ESEA, and of course, we want to thank everybody involved with the production tonight. Smoke, I want to thank you. First cast of the semester for us. Many more if you want to catch us casting together. If you liked what you saw, please catch us at Saints Gaming on Twitch, where we cover St. Clair College's esports teams. And we also want to thank Phaser and Varsiel and Swag and Hayes for all of the work tonight. Plug all of the socials at True North Studio for all socials. I think all the tags for all the people involved, Phaser, Varsiel, Swag Studios, and Hayes, all pretty much should be their names. Our socials on the screen right now. Smokes, there anything else you want to plug before we do the real closing?
Nah, man. Just RIP to that chicken that got slimed out in 4K slow mo. Like,
I
just
miss you
horrible.
forever.
Yeah.
You hate to see it. You really do hate to see it, but I hate to see the end of this stream, but unfortunately, it has to happen. So again, thank you to the viewers as well. I think we plugged everything we needed to, and that is going to do it. Like we said, Tuesday, 9:30, we'll be back for more Storm Surge. We hope to see you then. Don't miss it, and have a great night and have a great weekend.
Chris from spreadsheetpoint.com with a quick video showing you how to break links in Excel. All you have to do is open a sheet that has data taken from another workbook. Navigate to the Data tab. Click on Workbook Links. You can either click Break All to break all of them, or find the one you're looking for here. Click on the ellipsis, click Break Link. Then click on Break Links. And that's it. Thanks for watching.